Hi guys, it is Aoife from Fried Easy Died Laughing, and I'm here with another weekly wrap up. So I actually didn't get that much books read this week. I've gotten 2 completely finished. I'm almost finished my 3rd one, and as you guys know, I normally get 3 or 4 books finished, so this seems like a really small reading wrap up for me. So at the end of this video, I'm also just going to show you some books that I'm planning to read during the week as well. So it's kind of like a weekly wrap up and a Sunday reads, as you will. I seem to have also accidentally gone for a blue theme this week because all the books that I've read have bluish covers, which I think is really funny, as you guys probably saw in my thumbnail. So I'll start off with the book I finished at the start of this week, and it was Truthwitch by Dennard. I did talk about this in my Friday reads last week, and I had said how I was a little bit nervous with picking this up because obviously it's gotten very mixed reviews. Some people really don't like it, but I'm happy to say that I did actually quite enjoy this. This is a YA fantasy book set in this world where there are basically kind of these witches, and both men and women are both called witches in this. These people have particular magical powers. There's different kinds of powers, and we are following 2 different girls. We are following Safi and Iseult, and Safi is a truth witch, which means that she is able to know when people are lying to her, and this is kind of a very rare witchy power, and then Iseult is like she's called her Tread sister, so they're kind of linked. They're kind of like partners in crime. And they look after each other and they fight each other, and they're basically like sisters and everything but actual blood, but you know, sisters by choice kind of thing. And Iseult is a Tread witch. Iseult can see how people are feeling, almost like these threads that kind of connect to them, and she can also see links between people, and it's really interesting. It's kind of like different colours and different like moods and stuff, and that was really interesting. I really enjoyed that. I did find this a little bit hard at first to connect with. There is a lot of information given at the start, and there's a lot of like names of different people, a lot of different kind of terminologies used in terms of the witches and their powers, different place names, and I did find that a little bit at first a little bit overwhelming, and I wasn't really sure how I was feeling about the book. I didn't know how I was connecting properly, but then it didn't take too long for me to really start loving Safi and Iseult's friendship. Just such a wonderful female friendship, and they're strong female characters who are really able to look after themselves. There's a little bit of a romantic relationship in this, obviously, and I did really enjoy that. Like, one thing I have written down for these 2 characters who end up in a romantic relationship is their names equals chemistry. Hot, and I just loved that. I love when there's just this really kind of palpable chemistry between these 2 characters in a book, where it's like just off the page and you can just feel it, and it's just almost overwhelming that you're just begging for them to do something together, to kiss or to acknowledge their feelings, and I just loved following that with this book. I thought it ended in a very interesting way, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading the next one, which I think is Windwitch. And yeah, so I really enjoyed this. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm really glad I picked it up. The next book I read, and it's actually the last book I finished this week, First 15 Lies of Harry August by Claire North. I finally got around to picking it up, as you guys know, it was on my 5 books I want to get read by 2018, and I'm very glad I picked it up because this was very good. This is basically about this man called Harry August who lives his life. He, is born, he lives his life, and then when he dies of old age, he ends up being reborn, and it turns out that he is just this type of person, very rare person, who is reborn into the same life over and over again. So he's not born like as different people. He's born as the same person, to the same family, to the same people, every single time, grows up in the same area, but he has the memories of his past lives every time he's reborn. So by the time, like by his 3rd or 4th life, by the time he's 6 years old, 7 years old, he's able to read and write perfectly. He has scientific knowledge, medicine knowledge, historical knowledge. He knows all the different types of events that are going to happen. He fights in the Second World War numerous times, doing different things. Even from that point of view of seeing all these different types of historical moments in different ways, I thought that was really interesting. And obviously there's something happens where in his 11th life, just before he dies, there's a person who is also like him, comes back and as a child, and tells him that the world is ending, and he basically has to figure out what is happening and how he can save the future world in his own lifetimes. So from that point he ends up being on a mission in his lifetime to be able to figure out what is going on and trying to stop the end of the world, basically. So this was a little bit more, I think, just the writing of it was a little bit more in depth than I thought it was going to be. It was one of those books where you really needed to concentrate on it to really get the story and get the whole connection of the story. So it took me a little while to really feel like I was in the story, and I really felt like I knew what was going on. There were some points in this where there was like a lot of sciencey talk, and obviously as someone who, you know, I enjoyed science as a kid, but I don't really enjoy science as an adult. Some of it did go over my head a little bit. And as well, I think Harry as a character, he seems, I don't know, I think it's because he's lived so many lives and he's retelling his story. There's parts of it where I feel like he's very distant as a narrator. He seems very, very distant, and I didn't feel like I could closely connect to him. Though I did enjoy the story, I really, really loved the story. I felt like there was a small disconnect between me as a reader and Harry as a narrator. But I thought the story was excellent. I thought it was told really well. The writing was absolutely spectacular. Really kept me gripped until the end. Definitely going to be rereading more of Claire North. I have some of her other books, so I'll definitely be reading them. And yeah, this was just a really good book, and I do very much recommend it to people, and I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book I have here, which I'm literally only have like the very, very last bit, is The Crimson Crown by Cinda Chima. This is the 4th and final book in the 7 Realms series. This was also on my 5 books I want to read by 2018, so I am getting through that list. I'm very happy. And as you can see, this is blue as well, so I have a lovely blue theme going on. Obviously I can't really say what is going on with this, but this is obviously following Raisa, who is the princess in the story, and then Han Alistair, who is kind of a street lord slash so many other things. Like, you could be here all day explaining what Han Alistair is, but I just loved both of them. I have a massive crush on Han Alistair, as I've talked about before. He is like, I think he is my #1 book crush of 2017, because I've read all 4 of these books now in 2017, the whole series, and every single time I've read them I've just fallen head over heels in love with him again and again and again. So this is very much probably going to be a 4.5 to 5 stars, just like all the other ones. And I think I'll actually do, probably when I finish this, I'll be finishing this by tonight, so at some point this week I think I'm going to film a kind of series review, and I'll probably have that up before my wrap up next week, so I'll probably go up at some point at the end, maybe Friday. Thursday or Friday I will have a series wrap up where I will talk about my full views having finished the entire series. I thought I would just really quickly show you what I'm reading this week, something a little bit different, and then obviously I didn't have that much to say this week about all the other books. So one of the books I want to read, which I'm really looking forward to, is one I just happened to come across in the library the other day, and it is Sense and Sensibility by Joanne Trollope, and this is like a modern version of obviously Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility, and there was just something about it that just seemed really fun to me. And I love Sense and Sensibility. It is my favourite Jane Austen novel, so there was just something about this that just obviously leaped out at me. It just looked like a lot of fun. Another book I'm planning to read is The Taming of the Queen by Philippa Gregory, which was also on my 5 books I want to read by 2018. And this is about Catherine Parr, Henry's very last wife. And so yeah, this is just a historical book. I particularly like historical books around winter time. I don't know why, but I am looking forward to reading this. And then another book I have here is actually a book of short stories, or it's fairy tales, reimagined fairy tales, and it's Tangleweed and Fried by Deirdre Sullivan. Deirdre Sullivan is an Irish author, and I've seen her speak a few times at different author events and stuff. She is very good at them, so I really wanted to read one of her books, and this one came out and it just speaks to my soul. I think it's like a feminist reimaginings of a lot of fairy tales. So I'm very much looking forward to getting into this, and some of these have like little illustrations and stuff in them, you can see here. So this is going to be kind of a probably shorter book that I can read during the week, and I'm very much looking forward to getting into this and seeing what it's all about. So those are all the books I have read, books I'm currently reading, and books I'm planning to read. Please let me know your thoughts down below. I would love to read them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.